All right, here we are. Roscoe Selly from Bay City, Michigan, with his Reed Recording Company T-shirt on. So,
Representing.
right, this latest CD project that he made with Andy Reid, Americana Motel, fantastic cover, and all kinds of cool stuff kind of happen here. So we're gonna get right to it. Disclaimer: I can't say I'm totally um, not on Roscoe's wavelength here. I've known him for 30 years, I guess.
Yeah.
He walked in after me in the first Howard Levy Augusta sessions in 1991, and we've been friends ever since. And we think that we share this commonality in that we're both with that background, and seeing harmonica in that sort of way. We're both writing sort of popular genre songs that we're using harmonica as an instrument musically the way we see fit and all that kind of stuff. I'm always excited to hear what Roscoe's got going on. This next record is a big deal. Um, Roscoe, you want to say something quick or you want to jump right into it?
Well, only that, yeah, we have known each other for a long, long time. And way back in the day, I think we both, or at least I'm going to speak for myself, I sort of, as far as the harmonica world, I had a vision of myself being like a big deal in the harmonica world. We were kind of in the groundbreaking generation of sort of the overblow cats. But as time went on, I just realized that was a losing game, and I was drawn more and more and more into sort of the singer-songwriter genres. And so I've spent the majority of the last 10 or 15 years uh, trying to figure out how to fit harmonica into more popular styles as opposed to just blues or jazz or something, or just not being an instrumentalist dude, but being an accompanist to try to figure out how to add value to songs, both my own songs and as a sideman on other people's projects.
Yeah, I can concur with that. I just look at it as just trying to use it musically. I say to harmonica players, rather than think, well, where's my solo going to be? More, what's my part going to be?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you actually do, play more solos actually than I do, and probably more skillfully than just about anybody on the planet, man. That's
Well,
what I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. You should always accept this, what I think is a sincere compliment. But
Well, it is.
I know, we know hundreds of incredible harmonica players. So it's
Sure.
I'm not going to put myself up there with those cats.
Well, it's simple enough for us because we were in our own worlds in 1991 and pretty much were the top guys as far as we could look around in our worlds. And then we walked into a room with Carlos Del Junco, Sandy Weltman, Howard Levy, Larry Eisenberg, you, me. Um, there were a couple other guys whose name I'm forgetting right now, and I apologize for that. But so it's always been pretty clear. No, there's other guys, and the young guys that are growing up with the overblow as part of their just normal vocabulary. It's amazing the things that they're doing
Yeah, it
and
sure
how
is.
easy it is. But songwriting wise, I like to think that we're in this part of it. We're sketching what the vision can be, and this record here you've done about as good a job as you ever have. This is a very, very personal record, which is things I'm going to ask you about. Because as a songwriter, you know, I've got this belief that no matter how much you think you're telling a story that's personal, the moment that you write it down or record it, you have to then begin to create a character, and there's a distance and a divide between here's what happened and here's how I see this character's arc, because you have to serve the character and the idea. I will say, and I've told you this privately. There's times in this record where your sound sounds to me like the Howard Levy stuff that we used to listen to before when he was an accompanist. When he did pop background stuff for Dolly Parton or this, that, the other thing. It's quite beautiful, and I don't
Well,
I don't think
I
people
can
realize.
I can only take that as an incredible compliment. I think I
And,
told you
and it,
before. I cannot, in my own mind, compare myself to Howard, who we
well,
both know is an incredible genius. But
well,
I will say this: he had a period, and he could do it any time he wants to, where he was hired as a sideman to, and especially on ballad or pop type tunes, where he
right,
played melodically sophisticated, beautiful solos with great tone over relatively simple changes. And I fell in love with that style of playing, especially on slow songs, ballads, and I've been trying to do that ever since. So any
right.
success I have is the result of 30 years of trying to be 1/10 as good as Howard Lee.
Yeah, same here. 125th probably, but there's no doubt in my ear that I could really hear that influence, and I'll point them out to you
Okay.
specifically when I hear those moments. And both of us hung out with Howard when he was trying to communicate this stuff to the world, and through the half dozen of us, at 3 in the morning when we're just sitting in a room and somebody says something, and Howard just picks up a musical idea, and it's the most gorgeous tone and melodic ideas you ever heard. And we've said this to each other, and I'll say it for this format here. I mean, people don't really, I think, comprehend the I guess the genius this guy. There's nothing he can't do. If he wanted to play strictly in a little Walter style, he would get the tone, he would get the phrasing, the sound, and the most incredible ideas within that genre that anyone had ever heard. He's just
I guess I believe that 100%.
I heard it right.
I think he's a generational type of musician. The fact that he chose harmonica as one of his main instruments is amazing to
Yeah,
me, because the
like
guy
gross.
could give, I mean, he could play in any genre, anywhere in the world, and fit right in and be a heavy cat on piano. And I mean, I've heard him do stuff on marimba and ocarina and percussion. And I mean, he plays mandolin. He's probably a kick-ass guitar player. I haven't heard it, but would you bet against him? I wouldn't.
No, I mean, because musically he has the phrasing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, just speaking of any genre, I'm going to tell you, wherever we are, there's things that are there for us, whatever level you're at, and it's all about finding the right note, finding the right sense of what works in this genre, and how to be musical and how to fit in. That's what all these things are
Absolutely.
about. And
And I spent 30 years trying to figure that out. And I'm getting there. I'm not there. I'm getting there.
well, yeah, I mean, it's a receding horizon. Some guy that he just died recently, a guy that I admired greatly. And, I do the same thing. I whine to him, how come I can't be this, that at your level? And he goes, I'm dealing with the same thing you're dealing with. It's a receding horizon. Wherever we are, where we want to be is just beyond what we can see. Anyway, I will finish up this introduction, I guess, by saying, I think that Roscoe Selly is at the forefront of how to use harmonica in pop, on a pop record, melodically, beautifully, intentionally, and in a way that doesn't interfere with the musicality of the rest of the record. Because again, the song is all that matters. And as a songwriter, I think you and I have discussed this. When we're producing or being produced by or working on making our own records, and I've released 5 records now of original material, the harmonica is the last thing that I work on.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, and that's that shows you something because it's the least important thing as far as really getting the song right. But it's also, something that we worry about, I guess, presenting ourselves to other harmonica players, because harmonica is just not the most important thing. It's important to us, and no matter how fretful I feel about that, every time I end up listening to it, I go, "Dang, came together." And I will say, "Dang, your harmonica stuff really came together on this." Although I know how incredibly complicated it was for you to put these songs together. So without further ado, we're going to start with 62, and I rhymed that almost intentionally. And I'm going to just play the beginning of this song for a little bit. And
First song on the record.
So you played the harmonica with that guitar intro, right?
Yeah.
So,
me and Mike are playing a unison on that,
right?
And I think we kind of go different directions, and that's a recurring motif in the song.
Right.
And I think every time it comes around, we harmonize it, or
right. You extend the idea, right?
Yeah.
You create dynamics. Yeah. So
that's kind of, I mean, as far as songwriting goes, those are the kind of little tricks and things that you want to put to make a song interesting, and
right.
to not just be repetitive. Put a new thing to catch the ear to a serious listener.
Exactly. I mean, that's I would just call it dynamics, and that's a thing I want to point out to harmonica players. So here he played that part. Anybody, people can say, "Well, I can play that." Okay, sure. If you can. What's your intention going to be? Is your harmonica going to be this, heavy harmonica sound that completely takes that over? I mean, I had to listen to that very carefully to see if you were playing. I suspected that you were, and I could hear it. And the shape of the harmonica, though, fits in really nicely with the shape of the guitar. The tone, it fits the tone of that guitar, which is not a real dirty sound. It's moderate sound like that. And it is a motif, and there's an old line: if you play something once, it's a lick. If you play it twice, it's a line. If you play it 3 times, it's a motif, right? So, you take that line each time you play it, and we'll stop as we do it. You do a little bit something different. That's how musicians take ideas in a pop context, and they make it more interesting. Again, harmonica players think about, what's my solo going to be? And then next time they play that, they're going to play all over it and let the guitar play that dumb line, but I'm going to play something that's a great harmonic line. No, it's not. All you're doing is messing up the song. You bring attention to the harmonica that may or may not be the best musical choice. So in that thing there, you played it in unison. The tone was sort of transparent, and the shape very much fit the guitar. And if you listen to it, they both really, it's a stereo thing. I don't think you move it at all, but it's very balanced, and it sounds good.
I should say that the guitar player on that track is my partner for many, many years, Mike Robertson.
Mike, yeah.
And Mike and I,
you know how to play together.
We know how to play together, and my harmonica playing might be more influenced by Mike Robertson's guitar playing than just about any harmonica.
Absolutely. I think you and I both actually have a guitarist thing. When I first met Howard, he's scratching his head and says, "Man, you sound more like a guitar player than a harmonica player," which is because I didn't learn from harmonica players, and I probably was more influenced by guitar players at the time. And yeah, Mike Robertson, is good a guitar player, tone-wise, idea-wise, and, has got the head of hair to prove it, so it's pretty good. So let's continue on with this.
What I wanted to do, doing it well, took another 32. This old dog still learning something new.
I left it to there for, there's a few things I want to point out as far as my perspective. Whenever Roscoe Selly makes a record, man, he's got a lot of freaking friends that come and sing with him. And this record is a singing fucking joy fest, you know. And whenever I hear that line, and you know, to me, you know, your song, as far as a pop song, is only as good as the hook, and you got a hell of a hook here, and it's what the song's about. Saying you're 62, and you know, you just, you know, today is today, and you know, you want to figure out the next thing and do the next great piece of work, because you know, fuck this idea that, you know, that I'm somehow done. But Roscoe's friends come and sing. Whenever I hear that, you can hear I'm even doing it there. I want to sing the harmonies, you know, like that. It's just beautiful, right?
Well, thanks, man. I
Yeah.
have, you know, everybody probably thinks this, but I know this about our small area. I live in the middle of Michigan. We call it the Tri-Cities, Saginaw Bay City, Midland. But within our little area, the Mid-Michigan area, we have an incredible collection of talent. Maybe everybody thinks that way. I'm guessing they're wrong. I'm positive that we do. You know, kind of coalesces around Reed recording. Andy's kind of been central to that. But so, I mean, and I've been in the scene now for over 30 years. So I know all these people, and I have relationships with them, and we play in each other's projects and on each other's recordings and stuff. So I do not hesitate to pick up the phone and say, can you come into a session next week? We're doing a big gang chorus on a tune, and I'd love to have your voice. And by and large, you know, if people can fit it into their schedule, they come in and do it.
Yeah, we'll get some more into some of the great vocal harmonists and people that sing some lead in your stuff too, later on as we get further into this. I'm the same situation. I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It's a small college town. We have what we call the Triangle: Chapel Hill, Durham, and Raleigh, and it's an incredible music scene. You know, as good as musicians are as good as anywhere in the world. You know, same thing. You know, but I find the same thing in your area, which I didn't know about until I've known about it from the Maybe August days. And yeah, you know, I've been listening ever since then, and the Robertson Brothers and all that kind of stuff. You know, so yeah, it's amazing. It's very compelling. And this guy I'm playing with now has actually developed a relationship with Andy Reid, so I'm probably gonna do some stuff. And I know he's sending this song that we just recorded there. So there you go.
You guys gotta come on up here, and we'll schedule some time at Andy's, and we'll do something.
Yeah, no, we're going to do that at some point. All right, so we're going to continue on. I want to, you know, this thing is open-ended. We'll see how far we get here. Hopefully we'll get through the first song, you know.
Maybe never go out of style. Experience will get you through the pain and the trials. Age just gives you more material. And I won't waste my time, and I won't make excuses. I run out of breath before I run out.
I'll just point that out. You know, you went from a guy that didn't think that you had a good enough voice, and you stressed about it. You did a project where you didn't sing at all. You had other people sing your stuff. And then I think Andy was a big part of this. You started developing a vocal style which took your voice and I'll point this out in a lot of places on this record, but just you know, that little yodel that you were doing there, you've really become a character-driven vocalist that, you know, it really works. You're not afraid to do it in high energy stuff, or especially in the ballad stuff, and it's a big feature as far as I'm concerned. When you don't sing something, I'm disappointed.
Oh,
Because
well, thanks, man. As you know, because we've been talking about this for at least 10 years.
yeah, I encourage
I've worked really hard to find of voice. I've never enjoyed listening to my voice. I think most people don't, but I had good reason not to. And I tried to, I tried to sing like other people. I tried to sing like people I admired. And that's not where my chops are. So eventually, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started trying to dial in the things that I was good at.
Right.
And identify that I could do and just try to do them better. And I'm seriously considering now taking some real vocal lessons to try to. The problem I'm having right now, and this may be a problem with getting older, along with having to hydrate a lot when I sing. If I sing for 45 minutes or an hour, like at a gig or a show, I start to lose some of my voice. So I'm going to go back to school, so to speak, and try to develop more stamina in my voice. But as far as my actual singing voice, this is my best singing. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
There's no question.
And I worked hard on it.
There's no question. I encourage you, Joe Flisco, anybody that questions your voice, I always encourage.
Joe's singing
right.
is gotten. I mean, it's astounding the progress that Joe.
Sure, and it's his voice. I mean, nobody would study to have that voice.
It so works for what he's doing.
That's what I'm trying to say, though. That's the point, and that's what I think has happened with you. It's become a big plus for me because it's beautiful. It tells the stories. It breaks my heart.
Thanks,
and it moves me. I mean, I try to sing like that sometimes, and when I sing harmony with you, I completely, morph into being, my inner Rosco, and it's just really important. It's really important, and I will say,
I hate the idea of an inner Rosco, or maybe it's like I like it. I'm not sure.
Right. I will make the point that people make the mistake of thinking that they have to sing good rather than sound good.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Your voice, and you'll see this in vocal lessons, it's really about workarounds. The idea that you should be able to hit all the notes and have perfect power and be unlimited is just not what voices are. Voices,
unless you're Amy Petty, who we perhaps will talk about later.
Yes, if you're one of those people, sure, but most of us aren't. And so voices are always a construction project, and they're ways to sing certain things that work and sound good, and they become what other people might want to emulate. But too often people try to sing good, and they try to overuse their voice and do things that they shouldn't be doing, rather than learning how to sound good. And I think what you've done is you've learned how to sound good, and I would
thank you.
You're welcome, and I would encourage you to be careful about trying to sing too good, because over singing or over emphasizing, trying to make your voice bigger, it won't necessarily make your voice sound better. That's just general impression.
I agree with that. Yeah.
As far as the other thing, hydrating is important. My voice gets bigger and stronger the more I sing.
Yeah, that sucks. That would be great.
If I sing, that's the point. Until I sing 2-3 times a week or tour and sing, 4, 5, 6 nights a week, doesn't matter how much I think I practice or how much I warm up, my voice always has a certain limited quality to it. It's only, this last record I did, it was a 3-month project and 7.5 weeks of singing with Robert Carl Blank. That's where my voice gets bigger, when I'm doing it every single day. So,
yeah, and I must say that vocally, that's your best record. That we'll have to do another one of the things where I'm talking to you about that record.
We'll get to that later.
It's an incredible record. It's an incredible record.
So we'll discuss that later. But anyway, I wanted to make that point about you singing. Let's see if we can get through this one song here.
Breath before I run out of muses. I still have so damn much to do. Feel like I'm starting out at 62. My prime starts right now. My time starts right now. Our prime starts right now. This is my time. This is our time. They're falling all around me. I watch a forest clearing. Here I stand against the fear of disappearing. And I have seen the end and it won't look good on me. I put my foolish faith in some kind of legacy.
For a second. Songwriting, a real important element of songwriting, which most people I just don't think get, is writing musical bridges that work and build the song up so you can toss it into this solo that you guys are going to take, or not even a solo really. It's it's a musical part, I would call it. But talk a little bit about the bridge, talk a little bit about thematically how you constructed it, and why it's so important in this song. You do this, I'm going to tell you, Roscoe not only writes great bridges, but he writes multiple bridges and sometimes multiple choruses, no matter what song it is. And I'll show you on the other songs. We've only got maybe 5 more minutes on this session here. No matter what he establishes, he'll always surprise you by coming up with a part that is even more interesting, more astounding in some ways, and extends the idea musically and thematically, which is a big element of his songwriting. So talk about this part here.
Okay, sure. Not all of my songs have a bridge, but when they do, it's because I feel a bridge. The word bridge means, in music, I think, to sort of take it from one place to another place, and kind of add a new element into a song. And I think of a bridge as adding a new element to a song. A bridge usually has a different chord structure. You want to relate it to the key that you're in. So although some really killer songwriters go way off to a remote key during the bridge, that's a jazz thing. I mean, if you listen to the bridge in like Body and Soul, it's like, who thought of that? But I don't try to get that crazy, but you want to add a new chord structure, some new chords, a new idea. And as I said, a new idea. And in this particular song, it's a pretty optimistic, my time starts right now. I'm not going to stop doing what I want to do because I've gotten older. I'm not just going to do the same thing because I got good at it. And it's sort of optimistic in an upward flow. But in the bridge, I wanted to recognize the thing that inspired that. And the first line is, "They're falling all around me." If you get to be our age, Paul, we've lost people. We've lost people who are important to us.
I've lost 4 in the last 3 months.
Exactly. And even in you're younger, you're losing people. And I was especially thinking about some of my friends who died recently with unfinished business, I would call it. They hadn't, I kind of always relate back to our friend Chris McCulloch, who died before he ever did any good work that got recorded. Right. He did plenty of good work. He was astounding.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, they're falling all around me like a forest clearing. Here I stand against the fear of disappearing. So we're all afraid that we're going to die and nobody's going to remember us. And the rest of this bridge is about trying to leave something behind that's a testament to our musical and artistic vision, right? So I'm interjecting a whole new idea into this song. You know, it's like, this is an upward lift, but the thing that inspired this and the thing that I'm trying to grab onto is that I want to transcend and get over that, the sort of the idea that, hey, yeah, we're all going to die. And then I kind of want to launch the solo out of that into an ever increasing arc. And during the solo, we actually do a key change, a modulation. And that's a songwriting trick too. It's the oldest songwriting trick in the world. I think it's a whole step modulation.
Okay. Are you using the same harmonica?
Yeah.
What's the key?
And
What's the position you're playing in? The positions.
you know, we used to have these discussions, and I remember our friend Tom Albanese would ask me, what position are you doing that in? And I'm like, I'm not sure. And he thought I was bullshitting or fucking with him.
I understand that. I'm the same way, but
I don't remember.
it's
It's probably first and third, or first flat and second.
first flat and second. Okay. For the next segment, figure that out, because it's important to harmonica players. You know, when I say position, I'm not trying to hold you down. It's just, you know, I think in terms of a C harp. So, you know, if I'm playing in first flat off of the fourth, you know, then to get to that next key, I'm playing off of the second. I think of that as a key
I will
change.
bet you anything it's second and fourth, because I'm trying to remember how I played this solo. And second, the first part of the solo was pretty easy, and I had to woodshed the second
Yeah, the fourth
part of the solo. So I'm guessing that it was a less intuitive. The first part I just kind of threw off, and then it's like, holy shit, now what do I do?
Yeah.
If I want to go up a whole step on the same harmonica, which is just a trick, it's just as valid to pick up another harmonica and play. I didn't used to feel that way, but I do now. I have the ability to play in multiple keys, but it's not necessary to do that. And cats who are good at harp switching, there's a lot of them. You know, all kudos to them. My brain is almost more attuned to relating to the key that I'm playing in right now. How would a whole step up feel on this, as opposed to grabbing another harmonica and playing a lick or some licks. So
How's
I don't know if any of that made sense.
Well,
but,
I'll finish this because I've got 2 minutes on this.
okay. I'm
And
gonna have to edit the hell out of this for anybody to ever want to pay attention to it.
well, it's whoever wants to listen it's up to them. All right, so we're gonna pick this up again. Again, this is Rosco Selly, Americana Motel, and we talked about a bunch of stuff, but eventually we ended up actually starting the first song, 62, and we've gotten through the bridge, and here we are at the solo. Rosco, you got something to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think you asked me to sort of. We talked about me never really knowing what position I play in, or maybe it's just not remembering. And
I understand.
I did sit down and figure out that this song goes from first to third position. It goes from, and it's third position major, which is a little tricky.
Right. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. When I play in first position, I mean, it's a little clunky. So it has to be because the melody is so good, and I want that major seventh, and I don't feel like overblowing it. So it's kind of how you know, it's all about timbre and stuff too. I did something recently where it was just, you know, the octave below harmonica, and I wanted that timbre, and it worked really good in first position. But not everything will sound great in first position. Again, that's part of it. And third position major is, I mean, it lays out there really good, but it's
got this particular solo has the 5 overblow, and it's a descending lick. And I did have to woodshed that. When I was just trying to play it right now, it's like half the time I could play it smoothly and half the time I couldn't.
Right.
I think it goes from 6 blow to 5 overblow or something like that. It was like, I remember woodshedding that to try to make sure that I could actually nail it in the studio. I'm not one of these guys who says, "Oh, I just go into the studio and let her rip."
Right.
Sometimes I do that. But on a tune like this, I actually carry the motif across from the key change. So I had to, it's not a motif, it's just a lick. So I had to
It becomes a motif if you repeat it, in that other position. If just as an aside here, I'm the same way. I mean, I want to come to the studio prepared. And again, as we discussed, the harmonica is usually the last thing. So that means like the night before, all of a sudden I'm thinking, and then I have to work on it. Yeah. But one thing that I will say is that I come to the studio, I've got a lot of different harmonicas that have really slight differences, and I really go through them all to see where the best timbre is. And also, if I've got a particular overblow or overdraw, not always, a lot of times it's fine the way it is, but I'll certainly look for the harp that is set up best that way. I hate working on my own harps because I always break them, so here I go.
I mean, I think this would be a good time to tell people that I couldn't do, I don't think, what I do on harmonica if it wasn't for Joe
Felisko, yeah, right.
And Joe knows how I play, and he sets up my harmonicas for me. It's been one of the great joys of my life to have a relationship with Joe and to be able to play those magnificent harmonicas.
Yeah, but even, I mean, I've got the same situation, but usually by the time I'm ready to play something, sometimes I'll send something out specifically for Joe. Lately, it's been harmonicas where the in cross hop, where the 2-3-4 chord is really, really in great tune for that kind of stuff.
Joe loves that.
He does, yeah. He told me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to. I'm gonna, I guess, brag for a second. I forget exactly what he said, but this thing that I just did in Nashville, he said it was beautiful. Makes him proud to be a harmonica player and proud to know me. So I was very proud of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Put that in your promo material.
I will. Yeah. But the point that I want to make is that most of the time, if I'm going to play something, it's not like I just sent it out to Joe and it came back. Usually, it's what in my drawer from stuff that is still in tune from whenever Joe worked on it last, sounds best in this song.
That's
timbre is best, the tuning is best, and the setup is best. That's more.
And when I get into the studio, sometimes I'm like, I have an embarrassing wealth of Joe Felisko G harps, because a lot of the cats I play with are guitar players, and so much is written in D.
Yeah, right.
And it's good cross harp or A minor,
Right.
And they're all fantastic, but harmonica is a weird instrument.
Every one of them is different.
Eerie, exactly.
And every day that you play them, they're different, no matter what you think.
Yeah. So, and here's the other thing about solos on a record. This is my advice too. And I'm not Rob Paparazzi or Howard Levy. I haven't been in 100 studios or like our friend Jelly, all over the place working for a lot of producers. But I have done a ton of studio work locally, not just on my stuff, but on other people's stuff.
Right.
So when you get a chance, it's a good idea, I think, to go into the studio with a concept. If you've got the tracks ahead of time, you may throw that concept out, especially if the artist or producer is there. They may say, yeah, that's, we weren't interested in that idea, Rosco. Here's kind of what we want. But you go in with a concept, the key of the song and the positional possibilities, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking more like of a sideman where I get calls for other people's gigs now. And I do that a fair amount. They go in with some kind of an idea. But then be 100% willing to give it up if the artist or producer says I'm sorry, thanks, that's not it. And when you're do studio work, you're at the mercy of the producer and the artist. And if they want Bob Dylan shit, they probably shouldn't have called me. But I will try to do something like that. But if they want, if they say, we love Howard Levy, I'll be like, perhaps you should call Howard Levy. But I will do my best job on this. So I think it's a good idea to go in when you get a chance, when you have the tracks ahead of time, to have a concept. Some of my favorite studio work, though, has been, hey, Rosco, we got an artist, and can you come in an hour? We're thinking. And it's like, so there's no one template, but I like to have a plan on my own stuff. As you said, the night before, I'm like, shit, tomorrow's harmonica day. What am I doing?
Right. I'll go you. I'll expand that, or at least give you my.
There are cats. I feel embarrassed almost talking about this, knowing people like Howard and Rob Paparazzi and Jelly, and some of the amazing cats who've spent a lot more time than we have in various studios. But the studio is its own thing. We should do another whole conversation and maybe get one.
We're starting to have one, but yeah, let's finish and go on to your story.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, that's my thought is, yeah, you have to be responsive, but most of the time a lot more than they do about it, and it's also your brand. And if you can come in really prepared and somehow in a way that doesn't upset anybody, help them help themselves by getting the best sound that you can get. It all starts with you being prepared and having a concept and understanding how to play that kind of music and how to present it to the people. But you can go either way. All right. So
anyway, this solo is apparently is in first and third position. Somebody's probably going to point out to me later that no, you idiot, it isn't. But I think it is. I sat down with the guitar and figured it out.
And the thing that's cool about the solo is, again, you take the motif that you just started, you extend it, and then you change keys. And for a dynamic is what it's for. And I think keeping the same harp is, in most cases, really important. I did the Runaway solo last year, right?
That's pretty good.
And listen to Norton Buffalo's thing. I mean, it was 4 keys in cross harp playing country licks. I'm not diminishing how cool it was and stuff, but to me, in my ear, it was 4 keys playing country licks in cross harp. It wasn't that dynamic. I mean, I ended up doing it in one harp, and each key had its own dynamics. And I thought
it sounded great.
I was thrilled.
It sounded great. Okay, I'm very familiar with what you did. I'm very familiar with what Norton did. What Norton did was mind-blowing
at the time.
For the time,
right?
And it wasn't just second position country licks. It was Norton's.
Yeah. No, and that's.
And he's.
I took the first part that wasn't close up because it sounds so
rest
good.
in peace, but holy shit.
Yeah. There's no question about that. But anyway, yeah. So, and just going back to your using one harmonica, I really think that it's not only a good idea musically, but that's the end of it. I think it's a good idea musically, and I think it's good for harmonica players to not feel like they can't do it. Because it doesn't sound like cross hop. It sounds like something else, but it's interesting.
Yeah,
and
I think so too.
It's also, as far as performing, it's a fuckload a lot better to do. It looks better. It's easier to do. It's less complicated if you can just play in one key. And most of the time I do. I very rarely change anymore. Very, very rarely. All right, so let's go. All right, here we go. Bang.
Some kind of legacy. Just 30 is the final one. I'm
the way that you killed vocally that last line. Now I know how the way you sang, and that was your version of killing it, and you killed it. And the reason why it worked is dynamics. From where you're coming from, all you had to do was a little bit of a change to make that harder and stronger and more growly. You don't have to sing really big and ruin your voice and all that kind of stuff. And it's all about dynamics. So it was very good. Yeah, I can hear the way that was first position. It was really good, and that that worked for the song, and it also works for that position, the way that you phrased that. And it sounded really musical going into the next position or key. I always think of as keys, really.
There's a crap ton of overblows in there, and it's I would shed the hell out of the second half of that.
The tone was really good. I didn't go through it, but it sounded right now. If I'm a harp player studying that, you played less notes because of the notes that you had to play. So you chose it.
I think that's true. Yeah.
That's the way I heard it, but it's fine. It worked really good. Anyway, that's for anybody that wants to think about that stuff. That's what Rosco Selly did on the beginning of his record, his first solo. Although you didn't think of it that way at the time, you didn't know what the order would be, but it was musical. It worked. Also, another thing. This has to do with producers and familiarity. I've had a long fight from engineers that, and Howard did too, and I'll tell you the story in a second, about where your harmonica sound gets placed. And I still have that fight. In this last record I had, all the real disagreements I had with Robert were timbre and shape of harmonica. People think that, oh, it's harmonica, it sounds really good with that little thing right there. It either works because the shape works, or it's buried and it's just another thing. It's not only, and I've had this conversation with Jelly Roll, because he told me that he thought that this is something he said to me, which meant a great deal, that the audio, the harmonica sound on my records is the best recorded harmonica sound he ever heard. And
I think that's true.
Yeah,
I think that's true.
Well, I'm just gonna
on this record, of course.
Yeah.
But I've listened a ton to the
America, probably.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of work.
It's incredible tone and sound on that.
Jason Merritt was a big part of that. The point being is that your job isn't done once you've played it. So we'll just continue. Let's say you're writing your own records and stuff. Well, the night before you finally got around to doing your harmonica thing, you got to show up with harmonicas that are timbre-wise right, set up right. You've got to have a plan, because otherwise they're going to squeeze you with time, or your ideas aren't going to come across and you're going to get stuck with something subpar. But then after that, you've got to have some sort of relationship with the engineer or the producer. So the way it ends up being put on the record, it sounds like an instrument that you want to hear for the rest of your life. And
that's something that Andy Reid and I, which is where I mostly record.
Right.
Not all, but mostly.
Well, I want to interrupt you here. That's what I'm going to say is that, you've got this thing going with Andy Reid, and so where that was placed, it's different than where the original line in the record was, where it was intentionally meant to blend with the guitar. Now, this one here, these are two difficult positions, and I'm saying this to other harp players. When you play cross harp, the harmonica has a certain natural honk to it. A certain natural timbre that just especially in some keys and with some microphones and stuff, and it kicks. But try playing first position on a big loud band that this was, and third position major, and getting above the band. You've got to have an engineer that gets it, that believes in you, and will work with you to get that sound where it's in a place in the music that works, and that did, and that's a big deal there. All right.
Yeah. Cool, man.
I think let's continue on. Maybe we'll finish the song. Right.
Hope I keep it up for another 32 here in my own little world. I'll do what I can do, 'cause I'm starting out at 62. My prime starts right now. Our time starts right now. Our prime starts right now. This is our time. This is our time.
Right.
That's Christine. That's my wife, Christine, laughing there. And Coco, studio dog,
That's very nice.
barking in the background.
It's very nice. A couple of thoughts. I forgot to mention this. The second time you played the line, he finished with a nice snarly harmonica note at the end. A note, but it was a different dynamic than the first time. And this one here, you ended, and I do this a lot, where the harmonica is blended with everything, but then you let it trail at the end so you can hear the vibrato and hear the tone of harmonica. That was very nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know.
I also want to point out that Mike Robertson played all those tasty guitar licks and all the fills, and he came in and just did them. You know, it's a slightly different guitar tone. I think we use a different setup, and that's another sort of studio thing that adds another color or another flavor. And there's like 6 or 8 of them in this tune. Every one was like just off the cuff, and they all sound great.
All right. Did he do that after you played the harmonica part? Did he match it?
You know what? Honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah, no,
Which is, my memory is not that great.
well, you know, recording is like its own world, and somebody asked me these questions about different things I've done, even, you know, something I've done, well, recently I might remember, but yeah, I mean, there's a gazillion details in these kinds of things, but it is a question. If he did that, I would bet you that he did it. You already played the harp part, and he matched timbres and copied the line.
We recorded the drums and the rhythm section of that, and a whole bunch of the guitar at my house in this room that I'm at right now.
Yeah.
We did a remote recording. We did that in February, the end of January in 2020, and the whole world shut down about 3 or 4 weeks later. So this, you know, it's we got great drum sounds too. In the next song, if we get to that,
we will.
I want to talk about that, because it. In fact, go ahead. Let's move on.
Way to go, Roscoe. Yeah, we're getting better at this, right?
It took 30 years to find out what I wanted to do. Doing it well took another 32. This old dog still learning something new. I'll never act my age, I'll never stay in my lane. I'll never believe it is a young man's game, and I will step aside or feel that I am true. 'Cause I still have so damn much to do. My prime starts right now. My time starts right now. Our prime starts right now. This is my time. style. Experience will get you through the pain and the trials.